So I think that the future of philanthropy will be more, I don't almost said a hybrid. Well, I mean, impact investing is sort of a hybrid of debt financing and philanthropy, because in debt financing, banks are not going to just, wake up and give you money because you're you, right? There's extensive checks. And, during my time as a finance lawyer, these are all the compliance elements that you're involved in, right? Where you need to make sure that all the requisite funding documents are in place. So the bank is not going to fund unless you've got your resolutions, as in, has this been decided by the board, that this is the money that needs to be procured, this is the purpose which the money is going to be used for. There's so many checks and balances. Whereas in philanthropy, you would have people deploying large amounts of capital for good. And I think for me, coming into philanthropy, it was interesting when people would say that, oh, we're just giving this money because we like the cause. And I'm, as a, coming from the debt side, I'm asking more questions like, is the course being advanced? How do you know? Do you have metrics? Are you measuring? Are you getting feedback? Are you, I have way more questions to ask other than I'm giving this money just because I can. So what we're now going to see on the philanthropy side is some of the checks and balances that you've had on the debt financing side are now going to be coming into philanthropy, where your investors are going to be asking more questions. And another factor that's influencing how philanthropic capital is changing is because you've got people in the private equity and venture capital space wanting to come onto the continent and invest as alternative finances to traditional lending. Because in everything I've spoken about these global finance, those were all traditional lending institutions. And I must say that there are many people that are very skeptical of those institutions. I was in one platform where somebody, I think to me, it's still stuck to my mind today, said, we've had so many development institutions on the continent. If they were doing their work, then why isn't the continent developed? And I was like, whoa, hectic. But there's truth in that. I think that there's, multiple truths can exist. I'm not going to be taken away from poor governance, but at the same time, we can't have the conversation about poor governance without having the conversation about Africa still being in a neoliberal state. If really Africa was free to determine her own future, decide how she's going to use the funds for her own people, I don't think things would look how they look. Some of this, I think, has been done strategically, but we never really know behind the veil. We never really know what exactly is happening. But as I say, I am only interested in, have the lives of people improved, and what is the lived experience, and what is people's perception of everything that's happening around them, and how is that influencing their lived experiences. So yeah, just to wrap up on the changes when it comes to philanthropic capital, I think we're going to have a lot more scrutiny, but also it comes with so much more opportunity, because where you have people who've come from traditional lending, debt financing, coming into philanthropic capital, you have a real opportunity to now fund in thematic areas. So I've seen amazing examples of some funds who are in gender lens financing, for example, and those are the ones that are maybe going to finance women-owned businesses or fund GBV initiatives. However, they're not just funding because they like women or they like GBV. Now they need certain outcomes, milestones, how that's going to be monitored, how exactly you're going to deliver. So before you get access to that capital in the way that you wouldn't get access to capital from a traditional lending institution, it's going to be the same whether it's coming from a nonprofit, a PEVC, and these alternative funders and investors that we're now going to be seeing coming onto the continent.